And we are back. Welcome back to the Players You Need series. With just 4 game weeks to go, it is that time of the year where managers start changing around their teams for next season. So if you've still got stuff to play for in the fantasy football this year, it is pivotal that you are picking players that are essentially necessities to their clubs if they're still fighting for survival, fighting for Europe, or fighting for titles. But you also have to be aware that there are clubs with other priorities still as well. So it is really crunch time in fantasy football as you try and navigate your way through the managerial shake-ups as it gets to this late in the season. And I have built myself a team today of players that I think are definitely going to be playing and performing this weekend. So make sure you stick around to see who I've gone for. Before that, I have to issue a quick apology for missing last week's video. I wasn't feeling very well last Saturday morning, so I wasn't able to get Game Week 34's video out. However, I have got all of the wrap-up from Game Week 33 and 34 in this video, so make sure you stick around to see all of that. And before we get into that, as always, if you enjoy this fantasy football series, please do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Let's very quickly whiz through everything that happened in game weeks 33 and 34 before getting into my team for the upcoming game week. And this was my game week 33 team. As you can see, it went absolutely horrendously. I wasn't hiding away from the fact that I had such a bad prediction for game week 33. That's not the reason why that video was missing. I still have to hold my shame for this one. And if it wasn't for the fact that Haaland got 58, it would have been 28 should I say, it would have been even worse. So only 55 overall for game week 33, which wasn't even enough to get in the top 6 million. That's how bad that was. That, of course, meant that we had a whole host of winners for game week 33. None more so than my own dad, who got the top score in game week 33. So if you are watching this, Dad, well done for making it to the top of the leaderboard for game week 33. As for the double game week, which was game week 34, things went significantly better. Able to get into the top million. Not the overall best for myself. I was hoping to get a few more than what I actually got. But other than Edison and Solly March, every single one of my starters performed. It's just a shame that I had Estepinian on the bench. Otherwise, we would have got a hell of a lot more points with him in the team. And of course, with Pep Roulette, you just never know what's going to happen. He's even changing the goalkeepers at the moment. So yeah, Edison only getting one was to be expected once you knew that Pep Roulette was in full swing. Now, that did not mean that there were no winners last week, and obviously in the midweek fixtures as well. So congratulations to everyone on their screen now. And there were a couple of people that weren't triple captaining in, but the fair few at the top were all triple captaining in Erling Haaland or Mohamed Salah. So I wasn't able to compete against them. They got so many points as triple captains. But as I said at all points during the season, it is about you guys picking your best team to challenge my best team. And if your best team includes a triple captain, then that is completely up to you guys. So well done to Freddie Volans and James Morris for scoring great scores of 138 and 133. The reason I single those two out the most is as we now move on to the Esso 99 League, you will see that they are now the top two. So what a moment to put in a performance like that. James Morris re-extending his lead at the top now to 68 points. Surely enough to see him over the finish line with just 4 game weeks to go. But you just never know with fantasy football. But looking at the team he's got, with obviously having that triple captain still in hand, I think he's probably now done enough. But like I say, fair play to Freddie as well for scoring 138, the top points in the league last week, seeing him move up into second. My own personal team now is pretty much guaranteed to finish in 13th place. I'm 50 points behind 12th and 50 points ahead of 14th. So I'm sort of smack bang in my own little void with 99 points last week. So that's the state of play. Congratulations as always to anyone who has made it into the top 20 with just 4 game weeks to go. I'm very interested to see how the season ends. But for now, let's look ahead to game week 35 and my team for this week. Now, it was very tough this week. As we said at the top of the video, you've got to pick players from teams that are still playing for something, because if you don't, you run the risk of players being taken out of teams unnecessarily. So That's why I've started with the likes of Keylor Navas and Jason Steele in goal. Keylor Navas, we know how good he is at Nottingham Forest at home to a pretty much already relegated Southampton. That's why I've gone for him as the main goalkeeper. Now, that is a massive risk. Jason Steele at home to Everton is a much more obvious choice. He is obviously cheaper as well. But I just thought about mixing it up a little bit this week. So I've gone for cheeky little Keylor Navas in goal. Especially since I've also gone for Estepinian and Mitoma from the Brighton perspective as well. Estepinian obviously got a lot of points last week. He plays every week for Brighton. I do expect them to get a clean sheet against Everton, and I do expect them to do damage as well the other way. Hence why I've gone for Estepinian and Mitoma. I really wanted to go for a couple more Brighton players, the likes of Danny Welbeck or Enciso or Buenanotte, McAllister, but it's quite tough to pick who Brighton's going to go for at the moment. De Zerbi has started mixing things up as well. Like I say, the likes of Enciso and Buenanotte have started coming in, which has meant the likes of Caicedo, Mitoma and Solly March haven't been playing every game. And with Evan Ferguson set to return either this week or next week, there's no guarantee over Danny Welbeck or Undav up front. So I've just gone for the ones that I think are near enough nailed on to start, which is why I've gone for Estepinian and Mitoma. But yeah, fair play to De Zerbi. He's started being able to get some rotation in his team as well, which of course makes fantasy football a nightmare. As for a team that doesn't tend to mix things up too much, I've gone for 3 Liverpool players, of which I've gone for Trent and Mo Salah once again, with Salah remaining as captain. I will explain more on that in a moment. But obviously Trent and Salah are the two that are guaranteed to start this game. All Liverpool have got to play for is their top 4 potential chances. And I think they're going to score some goals against Brentford, hence why I've gone for those two. I've gone for Luis Diaz this time because he started and scored in the last game. Klopp's trying to work his fitness back before the end of the season. So, look, it wouldn't surprise me if Gakpo or Jota potentially take that spot. Nunez obviously started against Fulham, so we'll see. But I just have a feeling that Luis Diaz is the one that's more likely to start. I think he is their second best player, all of their attackers. I think Luis Diaz is their most dangerous player, and I think if he's fully fit, he will play, hence why I have gone for him. I've gone for Wilson from Fulham in the rest of the midfield. I just think he's someone that's played really well recently. Fulham have been playing some good football. They're at home to Leicester this weekend. He's sort of my rogue pick for this week. He might not even start. Apparently Dan James could be playing. De Cordova-Reid. It's tough because those two potentially could be playing up front. But I think Wilson's been the most consistent, and that's why I've gone for him. Rounding off the midfield, I've gone for Heung-min Son. He's looked a little bit more dangerous since Ryan Mason's taken over. I think Crystal Palace's right-hand side is their weakest point in their team. Look, they defend very well, Crystal Palace, and it might be tough for Tottenham to get something from this game, but I just have a little feeling on Son this week. Don't know why, he's had a very poor season, but Sonny is one of my boys, and I'm just backing him to do some damage this week. Onto the attack, I have gone for Dominic Solanke against Chelsea. Now, if you saw my predictions video yesterday, you will know that I've gone for a Bournemouth win in this game. Solanke is in a lot of form. He's one of the main reasons Bournemouth now look like they're going to stay up. And I'm backing him to continue that run of form against Chelsea and help them get a result which would see them go above Chelsea in the league table. I've then gone for Callum Wilson. I think Newcastle score some goals against Arsenal this weekend. I think you'll see Wilson and Isak both start together this weekend. I don't think it can be put off any longer. They're both playing so well. I've gone for Isak the last 2 weeks, and Wilson has then been the one getting all the points. So Sod's Law indicates that I go for Wilson today, and Isak's the one that starts. Wilson's on the bench, and Isak gets all the points. Finally, I have gone for Luke Shaw. Obviously, that's more of a long-term thing with Manchester United still having double game weeks to go. He has been Manchester United's best player in the last couple of weeks, in my opinion, despite that whole handball incident, which I won't get into in this video. Check out my post-match reaction for that. And then finally, we have my Manchester City players. Now, I have tried to do something this week, which I strongly advise against doing at all times, and that is trying to perfectly predict the Pep Roulette. They have got Real Madrid on Tuesday evening. And Erling Haaland is a die-hard Leeds fan. He still goes to Manchester City training in Leeds kits and still goes to bed wearing Leeds pyjamas. This is a fact, then we know this. And I don't think he's going to play against Leeds. I don't think he'll want to be one of the reasons responsible for Leeds getting relegated. And I think Pep won't want to risk him against Leeds with Real Madrid on the horizon. Now, obviously, if you've got Erling Haaland, still put him in your teams, because if he's going to play, he will score goals. However, I would not put Erling Haaland as captain for this week. I think that is too much of a risk, hence why I've gone for Mohamed Salah. That's also the reason why I've gone for Julian Alvarez. He has played fantastically over the last 2 weeks in the Kevin De Bruyne position, but I think this week he'll get his opportunity back up front, where he'll potentially and most likely do even more damage. Either way, I think Alvarez definitely plays against Leeds, which is why I've gone for him instead of Haaland. And then for the 2 Manchester City defenders, it's more about looking at who I think he will play against Real Madrid, which is why I've gone for Laporte and Akanji, because I think Kyle Walker will definitely be playing against Vinicius Jr. And I think Nathan Ake is the nailed-on choice to play in that left-back role against Real Madrid, which is why I've then gone for Laporte, because I think he will come in to Ake's position on the left side of that back three. And Akanji is the one that's playing every game at the moment. He's the consistent one that can move around the entire defence. But Akanji's potentially a bit of a risk as well. Who knows what Pep's going to do? I think I do, which is why I've gone for that. And yeah, that is it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about my team. Let me know what teams you're running for this week. Good luck if you are taking me on this weekend as well. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow evening with my reaction to West Ham against Manchester United.